now then we're gonna start actually.
All right. Do I have to get off my phone?
Preferably, yeah, that'd be nice.
All right.
That'd be nice if we have your full undivided attention right now.
Yeah. What if the girls hit me up?
Well, then they're gonna have to wait, just like they normally would.
Sorry, ladies.
Sorry, ladies, gotta wait around. You were just telling me about a story about this one girl with her car.
Which story? The BMW
I think
driver?
I think the world needs to know that story because that's hysterical.
All right.
She's gonna remain nameless, but she's gonna know we're talking about her right now.
All right. Cool.
We're definitely talking
I'll make
about
sure
her
she
right now.
sees this.
That's fine. I definitely won't. Yeah, we need to talk about it because that's.
How do you want me to start, man?
Fucking tell me this BMW story. Go.
All right. So my friend here, she's from California, a little white girl. She drives a BMW, and we all know the BMW drivers, right? Well, she was having a problem with her car, and a little light comes on, this little yellow light comes on her dash. And it's real funny. I'm the first person she asks. This is the middle of the night for me. It's like, I think it's like 2, 3 a.m. She's asking me why her light's coming on. And like, I knew that it had to do something with her lighting. I just didn't know which light. So I'm thinking it's going to be funny. I'm going to tell her her blinker fluid's missing, she's out of blinker fluid. So, I mean, funny. It was awesome because I told her she needed blinker fluid, and then she's asked me if it's gonna be okay. I'm telling her she just needs to fill her blinker fluid, and she's got it covered. And she totally bought into the
blinker fluid
situation, man. So I should have sent her like a coupon or something for some blinker fluid.
There's got to be coupons for blinker fluid. I wonder if there are any coupons for blinker fluid.
People need to make coupons for blinker fluid. For times like that.
Blinker fluid prank. That's the first thing that comes up.
Look, that video says how to check your blinker fluid.
That's what you should have sent her. Oh my god, that would have been perfect.
It's hilarious.
Just put a straw in it.
That's hilarious, man.
Blinker, girls with cars, man. There are just very few girls that I've seen even remotely have any idea what's going on with a car.
I know, and it's.
No, I'm not the most car savvy person, but I know the basics. I think.
Yeah,
I know the basics of what needs to be done and to maintain a vehicle.
That's that's very fair. I mean, like at school, I know a lot of people at school, and like I ask them sometimes, like, do you even know how to change your tire? Like what happens if you get a flat on the highway? You gonna be able to get home that night? And it's like a lot of people don't, and it's really something good you should learn because you never know like what situation you can be in. Like you should be able to at least change your tire in an emergency.
Yeah, I mean that takes in like. Just like we were talking about earlier about like fishing, I was like, I need to learn to fish because I just in case I'm ever in a situation where I need food. Like you can't get comfortable and like rely on other people or the world around you to just be safe. Like you've got to take some accountability into your own life. At least that's the way I look at it. Like with the car, with the food, with whatever. Like it just hit me the other day. I was like, damn, like I don't know how to fish. I live right fucking next to the water. Like, and I know like the basis. I used to do it, but it's been forever. So I'm like, I gotta know more. I gotta learn at least like what is going on with that, in aspects.
Yeah, and I think like with everything, like if you consider fishing, it's like there's lots of in-depth things, but there's also very, very basic things that it's kind of part of life that you should really just know just in case you ever needed that skill. And that goes with everything, And I think it's like important to be able to do things like that because then you're more self-sufficient and you can do things on your own. You don't have to
you're less self-reliant.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. You're less dependent on a person or a thing or something to supply. Like that's just in general with life. You kind of got to be you got to be pretty independent.
Yeah.
Like everything gets south when you get too dependent on one thing or another. You get too dependent on an income, you get too comfy, then shit hits the fan. Now you're losing money or whatever. You never know. When I mean shit hits the fan, I mean like you lose your job. Now you should always have something going on where you're a little bit more dependent on yourself than relying on other people and stuff.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean,
you turn the mic a little bit closer to you. Sorry.
Closer? You want it closer?
I can barely hear you.
This is close enough.
That's not close.
All right. No, but like I think if you live in Florida, you better know how to fish. There's water everywhere, man. You gotta know how to fish.
There's water everywhere.
There's water.
Jeez, man, look at it.
We got water all over.
There's 75%. How much is the world? How much water covers the world? 75%,
like
right?
75, 76%.
I think we gotta figure that out.
Somewhere right around there.
75%. Earth is water. Dude, people are wondering every day.
71%.
Damn. Okay.
It's not bad. You know,
71%.
96.5% of it is all ocean water. Yeah. So important lesson: learn how to fish. For sure.
It's kind of funny though, because like the fact that 96% of that 71% is salt water. It's like, who designed that? Who designed that? Who was like, let's put all the water. They're gonna need it. They're gonna need water to live here. But let's just like make most of it undrinkable. Let's just make the largest percentage of it undrinkable. Just to fuck with them. See if they can survive.
We'll figure it out eventually. I'm not dead yet. You're not dead yet.
No, we're like one big experiment on this little ball of rock melted going through the universe right now.
Yeah.
They're just trying to test out how can people survive. In what environment will people not survive? And now our ancestors were put on this one, and then we've just made it work. And they're like, damn, they survived with 96.5% salt water. They're like, all right, you know, the guy in the laboratory goes, all right, they survived. Check next planet. Let's bump it up to 97. Let's see if they can. Let's make the fresh water shorter and shorter.
Oh man, you know, there's definitely things that can filter out salt water. I think
we do have that now. I think
we do.
I believe you're right.
Some advanced technology, man.
Probably aliens. Probably not even ours. Same people that put us here, giving us that same tech.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's probably pretty basic stuff, but
I know they have like little solar things because like when like a boat goes down, it's in like the survival kit of the life rafts where you can capture salt water and it goes through some diluting processing and becomes fresh water. And they have another one where like they had these for a while where it's like a floaty thing and you can put it in the water and it floats behind the boat or next to it and it takes in sunlight and takes in, I don't know how it works, but it basically just makes condensation. So you're not getting like a ton of water, but you're getting some, like enough to like quench.
I don't know if you'd want to drink that, man. That's hot water.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do when you're out there and the shipwreck's going down and all that.
Well, they make those, what is it called? I think it's called a LYFE straw. It's got like a carbon filter in it. You can drink it right out of whatever, you know.
LYFE straw. So, but like, who the hell's carrying the straw?
Well, people who go like hiking or hunting and stuff when they're in the woods, you can drink pond water with a LYFE straw.
Right, but we're talking about when a cruise, like a ship goes down. You're right. Okay. For going into the woods and shit, like that's perfect. That's beautiful. But how many people are going on a cruise ship and then just bringing their water filtered straw with them?
Well, bro, you pay a lot of money for a cruise. They better have fresh water on it. What kind of cruise doesn't have water? Drink the toilet water.
Went down. The boat went down. It's a shipwreck. You're on the life out. You're on the right boat. That's what we're talking about. I mean, and you're coming out going, well, I would have my life straw on me.
Probably not. I wouldn't pack one if I was going on vacation on a cruise because I'm not expecting that to happen.
And that is the whole point I'm making.
All right, that's fair. You know, that's fair.
No, now they should have this in the life raft. They should easily have these things in the life raft. They're $20. Put it in the life raft. Let people start sucking up salt water. I mean, how bad can it be?
You know, honestly, I saw a review on this. I don't know how good they are because I saw some
4.5.
I don't know, man. I was
life
watching
reviews.
I was watching this show and they're like do like all these reviews on like survival items, right? And they're doing it, and that water, they were sucking out like some mud water, and it was brown still, man. After it was filtered, it was still brown.
Yeah, I can't imagine it being that good. I think that you have to have some level of like, oh, the pond looks clean or something. Okay. The importance of water. Love how it tells us all that. All right, we're not going to find what we need here. We're not going to find what we need. Forget this. Get out of this. But, no, I think you should put those on the boats. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Oh,
that makes sense. Like a survival kit.
What would be in your ideal survival kit?
I guess it would depend on the trip that you're taking. So I mean,
they are dropping you off in the woods.
Okay.
You get to pick. You get to pick what you have in your backpack. Okay. Standard backpack.
How much things? How many things?
Whatever you can fit in it.
All right.
But it's a standard backpack.
What about like on my
agree.
body? Like, what if I like typically carry like a knife
You're
or
given
a firearm?
you're given a belt. It has to fit in the backpack. You can pull it out to loose in the backpack, but it has to all fit in the backpack.
All right.
And you're wearing fucking jeans with a belt and a shirt. And
Okay.
I'll give you a jacket.
All right, cool. So I'm definitely gonna be thinking like maybe like some sort of blanket, like one of those survival blankets, like the fire blanket.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That probably has multiple uses. Where like if you needed to make shelter, a tent, whatever, like you can use that. That'd be really easy to do. Or like if it's cold, depending on where you are, you can cover up. If you get wet, you can cover up while your clothes dry. Whatever the case is, definitely need something like that. I'd probably have like some sort of container that can hold water or like hold food or whatever the case is in a somewhat sterile environment.
Okay.
I'd probably go with like matches.
Yeah, something like fire starter.
Matches. Maybe not necessarily any tinder, but tinder, like you can get like steel wool in a very small package.
Right, that'd be good.
I'd probably go with something I can hunt with. So either like maybe a small handgun and a knife. And that's probably like the bulk of your backpack. I mean, if you're thinking about survival items, like that's
you gotta pick your top. You gotta narrow it down.
A box of ammo, whatever the case.
To go in your pistol. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that probably doesn't fill up your entire bag because I can fill a lot of shit in a bag, but that's
it's bare minimum that you need. Yeah, you definitely would need some type of fire starter, whether it be like one of those rock things or I don't know what they're called.
I forget what they're
called. I know the steel wool would be good too. I was thinking a hatchet over a knife. I don't know why I feel like that'd be more practical because you could use it for. I just remember growing up and reading that book, The Hatchet, and the kid survived with a hatchet for like X amount of times in the woods. And I'm like reading the book. I think I could manage with a hatchet myself in that case.
Yeah.
If he could do it, I could do it.
Well, I mean, like you can use like, I know like you can use like a fixed blade knife, which they're way stronger, right? Because the blade goes all the way through the handle and it's all one piece of metal. So like something like that, you can easily cut like at least decent sized branches, probably like 2 inches in diameter. You can probably take down a tree pretty quick.
A whole tree?
If you're smart.
With a knife?
Yeah, like a 2-inch tree.
Yeah.
If you got like a 6-inch
Imagine
knife,
like this giant oak tree, and I'm like, bro, you're got some balls. You're really camping with that tree.
Yeah, well, I mean, like if you think about it, like in my fishing bag, I keep an 8-inch knife, fixed blade knife.
Okay.
So like you can do a lot with the, and my knife has a whole survival kit in the handle. So like you untwist the back of it, the bottom of it, and it's got like a compass. It's got matches. It's got like fishing line. It's got hooks. It's got like all sorts of like small things that you think would fit in there. It's like you got to think like now, a lot of things that are made have that possibility of concealing things inside other things to save space somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I have a knife that I used to carry in my. Remember the big knife you used to have in my truck, and I would put the bottom of it could unscrew and you could put other stuff in there. And I actually had like matches and stuff in there. They came with it actually. So I was like, all right, I'll leave them in there because it's useful. And then the bottom of it opened up and it was a compass too. That's useful just in case you never know which way you're trying to fucking go.
I know like they're starting to design knives where like the handle comes off and there's like a little hidden compartment inside where it's big enough to fit like a couple matches and some steel wool. So, I mean, there's a lot of cool things, like in reality, you can bring a lot of stuff with you right now. Like if I knew I was going to get dropped off in the woods in the next few hours, I'd probably be okay.
I think that'd be good too.
I think I'd be okay for sure.
I think the worst thing that would happen would be like the hunger in the event that I wasn't able to catch something. I feel like that's the worst case scenario would just be hunger. And I feel like you also like when you get hungry, well, we really don't have room to speak on like how hungry we get, but like I feel like on a day if I don't eat, I almost don't even notice it sometimes. I might notice it at first, and then after like an hour or two, you're like, I'm just hungry, and then if I get food, I get food.
See, now I think that depends on what you're doing because when you're trying to survive in the woods,
you might only be thinking about food.
That's probably what you're thinking is like I got to get food,
my next meal,
and I gotta find a place to sleep. Like that's like the two things that you're probably thinking of, and you're probably thinking of water too. I guess it depends on who you are, but like I mean, if you're going out on a hike, you're probably not expecting that. Like if you're expecting to have to survive, it's probably a different mindset.
Yeah, that's true. Like when I went on a hike, it was like we got done and it was like, all right, let's go get food.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like I'm starving, like we're never gonna, where's the next meal coming from type of adrenaline. It was nothing. And it was just like, all right, we're done. We got an hour drive. I'll just go meet at this restaurant and just eat some food. And sure enough, just fucking chowed down on some fucking burgers and shit. But I love hiking. You got any hiking any mountains or anything?
I haven't been like very recently, but I've been over to like Arizona, up in the mountains there, Tennessee. You know, I love Tennessee.
Arizona is always funny to me because I think I used to think of it as desert for the longest time, and it wasn't until like 2 years ago was it like, oh no, there's mountains there too, like you can go skiing and stuff in the northern part of Arizona. And it never dawned on me until then, at that point when someone else said it, I was like, oh yeah, the Rockies are right there.
Yeah.
And I always thought of Arizona as just desert, just flat desert, freaking unbearable. I would never want to live in a desert. Yeah, well, if I had to pick one climate, that'd be it. I wouldn't want to live in a desert.
Arizona's probably nice to be on vacation, but I don't know if I'd want to live there necessarily. I mean, I've been there a couple of times, but it was probably like 7-8 years ago, so it's been a while since I've been to Arizona.
I've never actually been myself, but I'm down to go. Like I said, now that I know it's more than just mountains, I'm like, all right, I'm kind of in. Like, I want to check this out, see what it's like. I mean, I'm sorry, when it's more than just desert.
Yeah.
Check it out. I don't know. That'd be the worst environment for me to live in, though. I think the desert.
Yeah, maybe we gotta go to Tennessee again, bro.
Oh, that was fun.
We gotta go to Smoky this time.
Where did we stop?
We went to Nashville.
And did we go out in Nashville? I can't remember.
I think
we did.
Yeah, we did.
We went out one night. Broadway.
And then we left that same night though. We didn't stay there very long at all.
We didn't sleep there? We just left? We just stopped and left?
I'm pretty sure because we went all the way up to Wisconsin when we went.
No, I know that. So we did a road trip like 3 years ago.
3 years ago?
3 years. That we went from Florida to the Blue Ridge Mountains, which is part of the Smoky Mountains, north of Georgia.
Oh, that's where we stayed.
We did stay there.
We stayed there.
We did. That's when we left middle of the night, though. We left at like 3 a.m. We left the mountains at 3 a.m. and we drove. Oh, yeah, we did drive straight through to Illinois. We went up to Chicago. Messed around Chicago for like a week. Did the city, did the Lake Geneva. If you haven't seen Lake Geneva area, it's a beautiful area, people.
Yep.
And then we drove around Lake Michigan and did
we did Michigan back
and forth. We did the west side of Michigan. Did those silver sand dunes.
Yep.
That was actually cool. I never knew that shit existed.
We went to the sand dunes.
That was cool. That was fun. Really cool, I'm not gonna lie.
We went to the casino.
We went to the casino, of course. Had to hit the casinos. Fucking addiction over there.
Hey, I don't know who you're talking about. Is there a guy behind me?
No. We're talking directly to you. Right there, that man in the camera smiling. It's that was fun though. The casinos were fun, and then we did Detroit.
Yep.
And flew home.
Yep, we did. We went back and forth actually in Michigan. Well, when we were in Illinois, we went to Country Thunder that year. Right? So that was unexpected. 2017.
Yeah, it was summer 17.
Yep. And then we were there at Country Thunder, and then after we did that whole trip on that side, that's when we drove back around to Michigan, and we were in Grand Rapids, or we were on that.
We're on that side.
The west side of Michigan, like right on the lake. And then there was one night where we drove over to Detroit.
Yes.
And then we went to like the parks and stuff on the river.
Yep.
Right?
Remember all that.
And then we went all the way back over to the west side again.
Oh, we just went to Alma.
No, we went back and forth a couple times, man.
I don't remember that.
So I remember with you was the one that I did a couple times back and forth, which was super fun. I mean,
yeah, Michigan
it was a lot of driving. But
it was fun.
I think we had a great time.
It's just fun, like the road trip mentality. Like everyone's just, I mean, we only did me and you. I've done it also when I'm in a group of 4 people and we're all in the car and it's like, we're just all in this together. We're just having a good time. Like we just take shifts driving, someone else is driving, and we're all cracking jokes. We're listening to comedy specials. We're listening to music. We're like, 2 guys are up, 2 guys are sleeping. We're making fun of the 2 in the back that are sleeping. Like, it's just fun as fuck. Like, there were times where you were passing out and I was cracking up. You were just out. And there's times where I was out and I'm sure you were like, this motherfucker out like a light right now. Doesn't even know we're going 80 down the highway. Like, one semi truck comes over, it's done. But, like, you're just out in the car just snoring away. But I do remember, though, what I remembered specifically from our time going was we took the Indiana route up to get up to Illinois. And it was god awful. Yeah. I remember that was, it was maddening. So if you guys are ever driving, do not take, I don't remember what road it is, but there's a route north through Indiana. Tempted to say 65.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think it's 65.
I think it's 65.
But it is, it's so much trucking traffic during the, we're gonna look up I-65. There's so much trucking traffic through the freaking state of Indiana that it's just like we kept hitting like walls of 8 trucks, and 1 truck's in our lane, and it's 2-lane highways, and you're trying to, the 1 truck's coming at you, and there's 8 in this side, and there's 1 here, and you're waiting behind this 1 so you can pass all other 8 just to get over, and then you have like a brief like minute to like 10 minutes of like you can go 100 again. And then you hit another wall of 8 trucks and you're going no faster than 65. There was no one was moving fast.
So were you with me that year where they had like I don't remember where they were, but it was like 6 trucks across the highway and they had the yellow lights on and they were like stopping the flow of traffic. They're all driving the same speed.
Oh my god.
And like completely
I believe that was us. It was horrible.
It was awful because we had to follow them for like almost
ever.
Yeah, it was like we followed them for like over an hour, easily over an hour at like 40 miles an hour.
And it's not like it's an issue going 40, but when you're in the road, when you're in the car for as long as you are, 8 hours, 6 hours a day before, and the speed is 65, 75, you're like, God, why is it going so slow?
And it was like only us too that were behind him, so like we didn't know what was going on, but they had like the exits blocked off and they're just driving along just
it was like horrible.
Something was going on. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah, so there's what we're talking about. Is we took from Nashville, we took up 65. I think this way. No,
we probably went through Louisville.
And then up through 65, up to Indy, and then up into the Chicago area.
Yeah, that looks right. I don't know, man. I've done that drive so many times, it just sucks.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what other places we drive through. Oh my god. The fuck is Ohio? There's Ohio. I've driven up to Ohio twice. I've done too many road trips. I've done way too many road trips. You drive a lot too.
I do drive a lot. So I drive 1,300 miles there every year, and then
to get back up to Michigan,
and then obviously back at some point. But I always detour a little bit depending on who I'm with and what I want to do. So usually when I'm going up there, it's usually a straight shot, right? Because I work obviously up until the day I have to leave.
Yeah.
So I give myself a couple of days before I get a report at school and whatever, and then I just head up and I just get it done like that. But on my way back, I like to take some time off and just kind of just like relax and like see things. So I've done pretty much everything from Alabama east, right, and then Wisconsin down.
Yeah.
So
it's fun to make pit stops. I did it once where we drove straight through to Chicago, and I remember on the way back, so we like drove straight through all the way up. Fine, no problem. I would take shifts. We're doing fine. Then we spent about a week in Chicago, and then we decided to come home, and we were like, we'll just drive straight through again. Like, why not? And I remember we got to like Alabama's last 5 hours of the drive, and we were like, we were just beat. We were because we went out, and the reason we went to Chicago was for a festival. So we drove 24 hours, drove 36 hours, partied for 3 days, chilled for 2 in the city, went out to the lake, but then we drove down the 36 hours, and by the last 5, we just pulled off somewhere in Alabama. I don't even remember where, and we just parked at a gas station, and we all just clocked out because I was my shift to drive. I remember I'm driving, and I'm like dozing off a little bit, and I'm like, I can't keep going. And then all of a sudden, one time I just remember I went over like a full lane. I heard I was in the middle lane. I went all the way over to the end of the lane. I heard and I woke up and I was like, we're pulling off the next exit. I just went to the next exit, and the guys were so tired. They were like, what's going on? I was like, I almost killed us. We're going to sleep. And they're like, all right. And then we just boop, clocked out, and hour and a half later woke up and drove the rest of the way. But it was, oof, it could have been bad.
See, like, I think that's the weird thing is because when you're like that close, where you're like 4 or 5 hours away from where you need to be, it's like you're so tired at that point, you know, that all you want to do is stop. But at the same time, you're so close after, like, say, like, if you take 18-20 hour drive,
Yeah.
You're at such a far part of your drive that like yours like holy shit, I'm almost done. Like I want to get this done. And I have that problem every single time because usually when I come down from Michigan, I stop in Atlanta and I get food. That's usually my go-to stop. Well, by the time I get out of Valdosta, which is South Georgia, into the Florida borderline, right? Once I get there, it's like I'm there in the middle of the night, and it's usually like 2-3 in the morning, and I should be home by like 7-8 a.m. You know, but then like for some reason, like being in Florida is nice, and like I want to get that drive done, but man, I'm just like absolutely exhausted at that point. Like I do half the drives by myself usually because it's hard to get somebody to be able to take off for 4 days, fly up to Michigan, and then drive down, or vice versa. I gotta fly them home from Michigan, whatever the deal is. But you know, it's easy to do it with somebody. So if you're doing a road trip that long, if you're like going to school, you go to school out of state, whatever, find somebody you like being around, and you make
it makes a fun time. It did. It was a very fun trip. I remember it was a good time because we broke it up pretty well. We did like 5 days in Chicago before we drove, and we only drove 6 hours to get to where we were going in Michigan. So it wasn't like we were having to drive another 12 again or something like that. So we broke it up well. That's the other big advice I have for anybody that's on road trips is like break it up. Like you want to push through and just go all the way. And sometimes you can. I would say, truth be told, I feel like 12 hours is that max where you should just drive straight through in any group. I think that's a good middle way. Like, all right, we'll drive 12 and then we'll drive the next 8. And we did that once too for Chicago. We did another trip and we drove to Nashville, 12 hours from where we are here. Got to Nashville, went out, got dinner, you know, saw the city. Then we just slept, woke up the next day, and all we had to do was 8 hours. It was done. And that wasn't bad at all. But yeah, that breaking it up makes it a lot easier. It's time consuming, yes, but breaking it up makes it a lot easier. I've done way too many all the straight throughs where it's like, oh God, you're just like dead by the end of it. You know, I've done through 2 other straight throughs to Ohio, did some festival there, and just 14 hours there, 14 hours back. And all we did was drive straight through, stop for food here and there, drive straight through, take turns, get there, go to the festival for 4 days, leave the festival at 8 a.m. When it's over, and drive 14 hours back. And by the end of that weekend, you're in bed, you're just getting home, and you're like, I just want to shower. I just want to go to bed. And you should get that nice water on you, and then you just go lay in bed, you crawl in, you're out. You're out for the next 12. There's nothing like coming home after and just passing out in your own bed, though. I will say that. I never got into that until I started doing more road trips. It was like, oh, my bed is comfy. My bed is comfy.
I think with ours, though, we had almost 2 full weeks of our trip.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we took a long time.
We took a long time, and we had a lot of rest in between. So, like, I mean, we basically took a vacation.
Oh, we did. I remember because you met me in Georgia. You drove. I was already in Georgia in the mountains for 2 days, and I was like, "You can meet me here at the cabin, and we'll leave the next morning." And you drove up by yourself to that, and then we woke up and did I think it was 12 hours from where we were to Chicago, and then we just chilled in Chicago for 5 days. We did 2 in the city, 2 out in the country. We decided to go to Country Thunder last minute. Dude, that fucking festival. First off, I talk about all types of festivals on this podcast, and that wasn't the route I was intending to go. But country festivals are just a different breed, and I loved country music before I got into EDM and all that. But country music and country festivals are just different. They're not bad. I don't mean that in a bad way. because we had a lot of fun that
I
night.
had so much fun, and we met the
coolest
people. I
people.
still talk to them.
You do?
I do.
I haven't
do
hit them
talk
up
to
in
them
a
every
minute.
once in a while.
What's the guy? Matt, right?
Yeah, Matt.
Matt. I remember him with the cowboy hat. But that it was one of the funnest things ever because so for those who don't know the story, I don't think I've ever actually talked about it on here. But we were up there and we find out Country Thunder is going on the whole weekend we're there. We thought about going all 3 days, but we decided not to.
We did. Well, we were talking about. Well, we knew before the trip, and we talked about going there and hanging out at the tailgate. We never wanted decided to actually go into the festival. We were gonna buy the parking pass.
Oh, that's right, because I was doing stuff. I was doing stuff with the truck company at the time, and so it was easy. It was like $25 buy a parking pass. We can get in tailgate. So I was like, all right, let's do it. Yeah. And we'll just hang out and tailgate and have a good time.
Yeah, we were handing out stickers to people.
We were handing out decals and doing stuff for that truck company, and then we decided on our way in, like, let's just see how much we can get tickets for.
Yeah, and then there was that
guy. There's 2 guys on the side of the road. There's 2 guys on the side of the road selling these wristbands, and of course we're like, fuck it, pull over. So we pull over. How much? And we haggled them down. I know to 60, right?
Yeah, it was like
$60 for the ticket
for the rest of the weekend,
which was only one day, but still.
Was it? I thought it was 2 days. It was that night and then the day after.
Well, yes, but the festival was over that night, so it was like you could stay and sleep, but you couldn't. There was nothing going on the next day. Yeah. And so we buy those tickets. I remember both of us were like, wow, these better not be fake. Like, these better not be fake fucking bracelets. We're fucked. And we go in and we tailgate. And we passed out decals. And we met that one group all from Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And we gave them decals. And they were like, well, if you want to hang out, you're here from Florida. You don't know anybody, come on back. And we're like, all right, we got to do some more rounds. Then we hung out with them. I got videos of like people on top. People were bringing like U-Hauls out there. Yeah, I remember like there were people on top of the U-Haul, school buses. Like it was as hick and country as it could get, but it was awesome.
Very cool.
And they had like speakers on top of their freaking U-Haul and like just blaring music. And who did we see that night? Jason Aldean, I think.
Jason Aldean and Big and Rich were the 2
bigger names. Yeah, I remember it had rained the whole weekend.
Oh, dude, it was absolute shit
so
show out there. It
muddy.
Was so muddy.
And we did not have boots. I didn't. You did. You did. I didn't have boots with me.
Brand new Timbs, my limited edition Timbs.
Oh my god.
I had brand new $500 Timberland boots, bro, and they were absolutely ruined. I still wear them to this day, by the way.
I have that pair of Under Armour shoes still. I use them as my fucked up don't give a fuck shoes. Yeah. And I remember oh my god, it was so muddy. My shoes were drenched in mud.
Oh, it was awful, man. You couldn't even tell who people were at one point.
Oh, and then that was what was like one girl in the group like kept falling in the mud. Yeah. And she was the little girl. Hispanic chick, yep. And she was just like covered in it, and she kept trying to give people hugs. Yeah. I remember being like, "Do not touch me right now. Like, I don't want to be that muddy. Like, we have to go home and leave after this." And we ended up staying with them till like 2 or 3 in the morning.
It was late.
Remember that? I remember the after party was ridiculous. That's the story I tell about the festival. They warned us. They were like, gets wild last night at the festival because everyone like brings shit and they want to get rid of it and blah blah blah. And he was like,
things on fire.
They were lighting couches on fire. Yeah. They were blowing up porta potties. It was like, what is going on? People are like doing mud races and mud like towing competitions in the mud.
It was crazy.
The minivan. Oh my god, that was the funny part. Was these girls
the minivan that we were pulling out?
These girls, like, it wasn't raining that morning, but it had rained the other days. But they took a minivan to come to this tailgate, and for the festival itself is in like a cow pasture, so it's really like they just moved the cows out of this field. They prop up a stage, they prop up like a Ferris wheel and some fucking food vendors, and then everyone else just camps around it. And these girls brought their minivan to the festival.
That was a bad idea.
And it rained more and it got more muddy. And at the end of the night, they were like already sunk in the mud. And they were trying to get out where all these trucks have been tearing up like divots in the mud. And I just remember them being stuck in it. I remember we pulled like the bumper off of the car. Yep.
There was no bumper.
And the only way they got out was a tractor. Someone with a tractor came and got them out. And he was like, charged them like $120.
Oh, dude, they were charging a ridiculous amount to get pulled out.
They were made.
It was insane.
The guy said he made at least $5,000 that night. Yeah. By towing people with his tractor.
And like the crazy thing is like, the people that were getting stuck, it wasn't even like the cars that you would expect to get stuck. There was like some big ass trucks getting stuck too.
Everyone was
And
getting
it
stuck.
was just awful. It didn't matter who you were. Like you were getting stuck at some point. You better had a buddy to pull you out,
or something.
you're paying that
Yeah.
$150 to get pulled out by the tractor.
It was
But
one of the two.
that guy was just making rounds, pulling out cars, and it was insane.
It was. It was. I remember the couch they lit propane. The propane tank they put in the couch. Do you not remember that?
I do.
I just remember we walked up and they were like, or we saw everyone like running away from this couch, and they were like, "Oh, they're starting, let them like catch them on fire." Everyone's getting excited, like, "Yeah, the fucking party's starting." And we're standing there with the guy, and behind nothing, like out in the open,
Yeah.
like maybe 25 feet away from this couch, thinking all they're doing is lighting on a fire. It's a bonfire. And he goes, "This guy's drinking his hand." He goes, "Yep, there's a propane tank in there." And we're just standing next to him. We're like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, we put a propane tank in the couch. We're just gonna wait till it catches on fire." And I was like, "Oh my god!" We just immediately like everyone was like, "Run!" like no one knew but that guy, and we all just ran and took cover. And then it didn't explode. They got it out or something. But I remember that we were all just like, "Excuse me!" Like you just put the tank.
There's like, honestly, other than it being like technically, I guess, a private event where you gotta pay to get in. Honestly, none of that shit should be illegal anyway.
There were no laws.
Because that is just absolutely absurd. There is so many people and so much dangerous things going on at that festival. It was just like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like that shit was fun.
It was.
I had a great time. That was my first time seeing Jason Aldean.
Yeah, me as well.
That was my first time at any music festival at all. Making a country festival was even better for me. And it was just like, the experience was so cool, but like when you think back on it, it's like, holy shit! Like the stuff that was going on was insane.
Freaking retardedly crazy. Yeah. And we were drinking, so we didn't even care. It was like,
oh yeah.
I remember the at one point the firemen had like, apparently there was too much for them to come put out that couch. There was like just so many porta potties and other stuff on fire, and it was just, oh my god. What's funny is like the porta potties on fire was disgusting.
Yeah.
Like just.
Yeah, that's. Could you imagine if it exploded? There'd just be shit everywhere. I mean, like you wouldn't know because there's so much mud on you, but like if shit just came flying across the parking lot and hit you, that'd be disgusting. That's like a health hazard for sure.
A lot of pink eye cases that week.
That's somebody's feces hitting you like 100 miles an hour.
And that was the icing on the cake. Was the Walgreens like near it? We knew someone that worked there, and they knew like the manager, and they had like all the facts and all that. And they like completely ran out of Plan B and all that. Like that weekend, it was just like one massive, ridiculous, just ugh.
It was just an insane experience. It's just like one giant redneck party, really.
It was. I had not been to a festival like that before. I had been to Tortuga Music Festival, which is country on the beach, and that was fun. This was a whole nother level of fun. It was just ridiculous. Like everyone's on the same level of getting rowdy. Really.
That was up in the sticks, though, bro. It's not Florida.
It was in the middle of nowhere.
That's up in the sticks.
Yeah, that was Wisconsin, Illinois border near like Box Lake area. I don't know where they actually put it. Let's see if we can. Oh my god, I can't even spell right now. I should do this. Boom. Now y'all know what we're looking at. Why did it go away? There we go.
Man, you need to figure this out, bud.
Nah, it's just being difficult.
Oh yeah, they have it in Florida now. Did you know that?
Twin Lakes.
Last year was the last year they had it in Florida.
See the guy in the images of the mud pit.
Oh look, that's what it looks like probably before the mud.
Yeah, that's what it looks like before. It was a good time. I can't be mad. But it's literally like that's the best. It's just one stage in the middle of a freaking cow pasture.
Yeah, it was definitely insane. It's definitely.
Oh my! Here we go.
That's
not even as bad as it was.
It looks like
that's
everywhere.
I don't even think. Oh no! There you go. That's what it was like.
Oh yeah, that's.
Oh my god! I think that's 2017.
Yeah, that looks like no. That's not the
Um,
one that we were at though.
yeah, it is.
Oh, that is
the
the one
Shadow
we were
of
at.
Twin Lakes. That's it. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, I think like when we first got there, and parked the truck, and we were going into the concert. I mean, like I was trying to avoid the mud holes.
It was almost unavoidable as
Yeah,
once we
exactly.
started to get
like,
in.
So like the first like, I want to say like the first 50 yards I walked, I was like, all right, avoiding the mud holes, and then I think at one point we hit something that was like so big that it was like impossible to avoid.
It was like you
So
have to
like
walk
you
through
just
it.
have to walk
You
through
had
it.
to walk through it.
I think like people were like swimming in mud holes and stuff. Like there was some mud holes that were so deep, it was insane.
Didn't
like,
that one kid lose his flip flop? I remember.
Oh, a lot of
Someone had
people.
his flip flop and it got stuck, and it was just
flip-flops,
the mud went
shoes.
right over it. It was gone. It was gone. He was like, "It's gone."
It was just like quicksand, man. It was people were sunk in. I saw somebody get pulled out from the mud. Somebody was like waist deep in the mud and had to get pulled out by his two arms. Like that's ridiculous, dude. Like, how does that even happen?
Oh Jesus, it's funny as fuck.
There's way too much rain, I guess.
Way too much. It's nothing like Florida, but rainy.
Yeah. Well, it stays there. At least we have drainage.
Yeah, yeah. So you're big into the fishing now.
I have been for years.
What would be the favorite fish? I know you have. What would be the favorite fish that you catch? What's your favorite one to go for?
The common snook. That's the Florida
Okay.
snook.
Why is that the specific one you like to go for?
So the snook is like, I guess you would consider it a trophy fish, but the thing is like, like I don't have a boat,
right.
So like I don't really have access to offshore all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But so with the snook, the cool thing is like you can catch a big ass fish in very little water, and they put up a good fight. They're gorgeous, gorgeous fish. But it's. I think like everybody kind of has like their favorite fish to catch, and I think like a lot of people would say like largemouth bass, or like whatever the case is. I think like the thing with the snook is like a challenge is presented towards a snook is like because they have weird feeding, and
I've heard that. I was about to ask that.
And it's like there's like different things that you have to take in consideration with the snook, which makes it so much more fun. But like the thing is like you can catch any size snook really. Like I've caught like baby ones. Like I'm talking like 9-10 inches,
Mm-hmm.
But like my personal best is also 42 inches, and they're like at 42 inches. That thing doesn't look like a 42-inch fish. Like it just looks like a fucking dinosaur.
Yeah, it looks huge.
It's just massive, and it's just like a crazy, crazy fight. But the thing is, like you can catch them in 1.5 foot of water. 18 inches of water, you can catch a fish that big. It's crazy.
Now, what are their eating habits? Because I've heard before that they're very.
There's no E.
Oh my
it's
bad.
just SNOOK.
My bad. I don't know why is it. But anyways, I'm asking about the eating habits with it. That's a huge fish. Wow.
Yeah, they're massive. They're absolutely massive.
That is awesome. That's a beautiful fish.
But yeah, they have like the really, really dark lateral line you see on that side of it. It's made out of Sharpie practically.
I hear what you're saying.
But it's an absolutely gorgeous fish, and they're so fun to catch. But like if you look everywhere in these pictures, if you notice, all that water is shallow. You see like this guy's on his knees right here. This guy's ankle deep water. This guy's literally on the beach, not even in the water.
You look so happy.
Yeah.
But what is it that they're fishing? Like I said, I've heard that their eating habits are very picky.
Yeah. So, I don't know this for sure, so you can't quote me on this, but this is like what I've heard from other people and like different fishermen.
Right.
Is that they have like this weird like 3-day, 12-hour kind of feeding fast.
Okay.
In a way. So, I guess like for 12 hours in like 3 certain days, so like say like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, for 12 hours, like say from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., they're just constantly eating, just like all the time. They're just feeding. And then the 3 days after that, from those times, they don't eat at all. Right? So it's almost like hibernation in a sense, where they're eating for 3 days and then not eating at all for 3 days. So like the thing is, obviously to catch a fish, they have to eat something.
Of course.
right? Because the hook's got to be in his mouth. So if they're not eating, that makes it harder to catch. So now you got to be thinking like, okay, do I want to fish that day, or do I want to fish a different spot? Because not every fish is gonna act the same that day, right? So like,
Right. So they're all on different schedules.
Yeah. So in reality, you probably could go fish whenever you want for them, but it also comes down to, all right, you got to think of like, oh, like how is this water moving? Is it ideal for this fish to be eating right now? Maybe that's why he doesn't want to eat today, right? Is this water ideal? Is the bait that's coming in ideal for him to be eating? Because like a fish, like a 42-inch snook, most fish, the rule of thumb is like it'll eat something a third of its size.
Okay.
Right. So you're thinking like a 24-inch snook could eat an 8-inch fish that you would use for bait. An 8-inch fish is probably pretty big for most people, like what you would consider, depending on what you're catching. But 8 inches would be a relatively big fish. You know, that's probably average largemouth bass. Maybe not in Florida, but or like even the smallmouth bass, they're usually about 8-10 inches, maybe 12. You don't get them that big, you know. But yeah, the snook is definitely, it makes you, I personally think that it makes you become a better fisherman, a better angler when you fish for a fish like snook because they're very finicky.
Okay. Now I've heard they're also finicky about the specific baits you use.
Okay, yeah.
Is that true?
In a sense, you gotta like kind of. There's a lot that goes into fishing, and like something that's like more advanced is like fishing water columns. So you have like 3 different water columns, you know. So you have like a top, middle, bottom.
Okay.
And that basically decides like where that fish is eating is basically how you want to fish it. And this doesn't go just for the snook. This goes for pretty much any other fish.
Okay.
It's like, would you be fishing the top column? Would you have your bait in that top column if you know the fish are feeding at the bottom?
Right. No, you wouldn't.
Right. So like that's another consideration you have to take when you're fishing, is that like when they feed that way, you have to know like, okay, like if I'm using bait, am I gonna be fishing bottom with the bait that stays on the top column of the water? You know, it just doesn't, like, just like those little things you have to understand for it to make sense.
Gotcha. Okay. So do you do more saltwater or freshwater fishing?
So I do a little bit of both. It kind of depends. So as
I know they're different.
Yes,
entirely
they're
different.
very, very
and
different.
I know because I only know that from my uncle who you've met and talked to you about lake fishing for like bass and such like that. But anyways, go ahead, continue. I want to know.
Yeah, so they're very different. I do mostly saltwater fishing. I spend most of my time on the saltwater. So, you know, we have saltwater everywhere in Florida.
Here.
So
it 96% of the world.
96.5% of the
75%.
71%. Yeah. So yeah. The thing about freshwater fishing is like it's fun too, and I just like don't do it as much. I think it's because like it's maybe not available as much to us, you know. Like we only have so many lakes in Florida, you know. Or
right.
We do have a lot of ponds that hold good bass, but at the same time we got to go to Central Florida for that.
We have to go Central Florida. For
so that's fishing. A little bit different for us. But I go to school up north. So up north, there's no saltwater. So in Michigan, I have to do freshwater fishing, and that's what 28 weeks out of the year. That's half the year, you know. So like half the year, I'm doing freshwater fishing. I'm catching a lot of pike, smallmouth bass throughout the year, and then during the winter, it's really no fishing at all because it's too damn cold. I'm not willing to do that. But then when I'm here, I do pretty much all saltwater fishing. I'll go bass fishing every once in a while here to catch a Florida bass because a small Florida bass is gigantic in Michigan. Which is, you know, there's 2 different things to it. But I also picked up fly fishing while I was in school. So when I'm up north in Michigan, I also go fly fishing. So for like brook trout, rainbow trout, brown trout, and that's like definitely a way different experience than saltwater fishing and freshwater fishing, right? So like the type of fishing you do has applications to it, but also you got to be thinking like what kind of experience do you want to take out of your fishing trip, right? If you're going to just catch fish, like it's going to be easy. Like you want to go catch some bluegill, you put a hook on a worm on a bobber and you throw it out there in a pond, catch a bluegill,
just enjoy it,
right? Or like if you know anything about South Florida fishing, you go out there, you probably catch some sail cats or whatever, you know, probably go catch some mackerel, whatever. There's a lot of fish that are easy to catch in Florida, you know, with just bait. not necessarily game fish, but like if you want to just eat, you can just do that.
Mm-hmm.
But like when you're fishing and when you're fly fishing, fly fishing is, they do it in Florida too. They do saltwater fly fishing in Florida, but like up north when you're fly fishing, you're in these big rivers, and like the water is not necessarily deep. Obviously, some points it's gonna get deep and the water moves fast and whatever. But like in Michigan, like in the old Asable, you're fishing in the mountains and like you see snapping turtles and then you see bears, whatever the deal is.
Right.
So it's like a whole different experience than just seeing the ocean.
Right. Yeah. Right. You've got to be a little bit more aware of what you're doing and the elements around you.
Yeah, in a sense, but like it's like something like bears and stuff or like fox or whatever, it's not gonna bother you because like you're really in the middle of the river fishing. So like if you're not bothering it, it's not gonna bother you. But like it's definitely like a completely different scene. So like if you've ever fished in Michigan or like Rhode Island or whatever, it's a lot different than fishing in Florida. There's basic applications that go the same way, but what you want to get out of that fishing experience, you can get in different places or different styles of fishing. Is my point.
No, I got you. Understandable. Again, I'm not a very expert fisherman, but to me, I mean, that makes sense. There's a huge difference. Now, what fish would you say that you've put up the biggest fight?
Oh, definitely the tarpon.
That's what I've always heard.
Yeah.
Didn't you? How big was that one you brought in? I know you brought one in a while back.
I think that was 2 years now.
2 years. I always swore it was a one.
It might have been last year. I don't remember. It was my first tarpon though, so my buddy took me out. Actually, I was with Jack too.
Okay.
Not Scans, but
yeah, I got you. Yeah.
So we were out there, and they were trying to put me on my first tarpon because I've never caught a tarpon before. They were saying we didn't get like any true measurements on it, but like having it by the boat, you can kind of gauge it,
Mm-hmm.
So we're thinking it's right around about 7 feet, 180 pounds.
Wow.
So that was probably a 2-hour fight, and that's with chasing it with the boat. Right, so you got to be thinking like I'm reeling as the boat is moving towards the fish, and it's still that far out.
Right, you got to tire it out
because it's moving so fast and moving so much, and like you got to be thinking of 7-foot fish is swimming. It's making a lot of ground.
Oh yeah.
So and there's obviously like a little bit of skill behind it, which, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't the best at it. I do a lot of fishing, but I wasn't the best at it. It was my first one, so. But it was definitely super fun. I don't think I've ever been more tired in my entire life, and I've played sports all my life, you know that. And it was, even though like we didn't get like a good picture with it, like on the beach, because we were trying to get it up to the beach and have a nice picture with it, it was still like a crazy experience because like we went out, caught this fish, and then it got released, and that's it, And like even then, like you'd think like, okay, like, oh, like maybe you want to keep this, like obviously like with a tarpon you can't, and with a tarpon that big you can't even take it out of the water legally. But at the same time, just like fishing for the experience of it and what you want to get out of it makes fishing completely different. And I think that's what like a lot of people who start fishing don't understand. And I think that's like super important. But that was definitely the biggest fight I've ever had.
So what do you mean by what you want to get out of fishing? I'm very curious.
So like I think like for me myself, like I want to learn more about the water, more about nature. So like that's why I like to fish.
Okay.
So like for me, that's why like I like fishing in the mountains. I like fishing in ponds and lakes. I like fishing on the salt water. So like the more I fish, the more I learn about different things because it gives me a drive to learn about certain things that make me fish better.
Okay.
Right? It's not just like, okay, like I want to get better at this, but do I really want to get better at this? You know what I mean? It's
yeah.
It's like it gives me like that passion makes me want to learn it.
Right. You found that you want to learn about nature through fishing.
Yeah.
Not the other way, not the other way around, using fishing.
I don't want to open a book and read about nature. That's boring.
Yeah.
I read fishing books,
to learn about.
And I've read nature books before, but it's not the same as actually experiencing it, at least for me, because that's not the type of person I am.
Right. Okay.
People learn differently, obviously. But
absolutely.
I like learning hands-on, and fishing is a way that I do that and learn hands-on.
I definitely think fishing is something you'd have to learn more hands-on, no matter what. I feel like that's something I could sit and read as many articles and books as I want, but I'm gonna have to eventually get out there and
Yeah.
learn. Oh, the book said to do it this way, but it's not working, you know. And then you go,
Yeah.
well, this is the other way to do it, Jacob, and blah blah, and then throw it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at least that's my opinion.
Yeah, there's definitely, just like everything else, there's definitely a learning curve to it.
Mm-hmm.
To where, like, yeah, like you can learn a lot by reading it off a book, an article, or somebody else teaching you. But like you're not gonna learn about it until you do it yourself, you know. And like it's a lot like that, and like how we were talking about poker earlier in the car is like you gotta think like, okay, like you can do it this way, this way, this way, and this is how the pros are telling you how to do it, right? But like everybody has their own mix on it, right? So like I only fish with like 3 different types of baits.
Okay.
You know, and then like I know people who use like 15. Or like I know people who use strictly just one. And it's just it comes down to what works best for you, because at the end of the day it's like what works best for you is probably going to give you the most success.
Yeah,
overall.
and the most fun time
and
for
the
you.
most fun time, yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. So everyone fishing as a whole gets lopped into like one big umbrella, but then when you get into it, you realize that there's this way of fishing versus that way, or this type of bait, this type of bait, this type of saltwater versus fresh, high tide, low tide, would, you know, there's all types of different ways to go about it, but all with the end goal of fishing. That's pretty cool. It's different. That's definitely giving me a different look on fishing.
Yeah.
Didn't see that.
I'm telling you, we gotta go out, man.
I do. I definitely want to go out for sure. I know you've invited me, but there's a lot of times you invite me in the last second and I've already got something going on. Or like today, I was talking to you about it and you're like, "We want to come?" I was like, "I can't. I gotta leave. Go an hour south." So.
Well, that's the thing. Like you know, I work a lot and I go to school and whatever. So like, I don't ever necessarily plan out my fishing trips.
It's understandable.
It's just like when I feel like I need to get away, or like when I know like the fishing's gonna be good and I want to just like be out of the house for an hour or two, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm just gonna go out and go fishing. It's like the one thing you can always do, you know. And like, I mean, I guess it depends on what you use, but like fishing's arguably practically free once you have the stuff you need, right?
Right, it's something you can always do.
So it's like but it's also like you can always do it 24 hours a day. You find a place to go fish, you know, a place you can go fish. You're bored, you don't have anything to do, go fish. You know, it kills time and you can have fun doing it. I mean, like, don't go out there and be a bummer because you're not gonna have any fun, you know. Like, you have a day where you don't catch any fish, you're out there for 2 hours, like, think of it as a learning experience, you know. Like, don't think about it, oh, like I went out, didn't catch any fish, now you're bummed out about it. It's like, go out there, you didn't catch anything, well, like, figure out why you didn't catch anything and then use that for the next time you go fishing.
It's a very valuable lesson in life in general, fishing wise, is like you're saying, like, you just learn from it, take the punches, learn from it, and just come back with a better game plan or a newer game plan. It's very easy to just give up and not do it anymore. Yeah. But with anything, I mean, with sports, working, stock market, whatever, anything, it's very easy to take those hits and be like, I'm done, or learn from them, just like you're saying.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter what you do. Is always want to learn. I think that's the biggest thing that changes, like, people who are good at what they do and then people who are successful in general, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, 100%. Right? Yes.
Because, like, okay, like, yeah, like, you can start this job and you can be good, right? But then you have this person who's successful, and then, but the thing is, the guys that's successful, that person can do the job good too. It's just their mindset of how they do it changes how successful they are. They've done
some extra stuff to learn something else about the business, or maybe learn about a competitor, so now they have an advantage because they can present the competitors' options and their options and be able to compare them, whereas you're just talking about one thing. Yeah. You know, someone who's good can talk about our product all day long. Someone who's great can talk about both and again bring it back to buying ours, you know, type of thing. So yeah, I get what you're saying. There's a level of learning and constantly learning and learning more that brings about success. And that comes with work ethic too. You got to have that drive in you to want to be successful. But when you have that drive, that's when you can start hammering at things and getting an idea, or it goes somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's important to learn things like that when you're younger. I mean, like, I think at our age, if you haven't learned it, I don't think you're gonna learn it. Like,
it's a tough pill to swallow because you hope, you know, the people you know that are like that, learn it, because if they do learn it, it can change their whole life around.
Yeah.
I truly believe that if you have drive and you've got a goal and you've got a plan and you're working hard at it every day, whatever it is, it could change your life. You don't know what that opportunity, you don't know what step down along that path can present an opportunity. You just got to keep working hard for it, and it's going to come. That's my whole philosophy is if you're working hard in time, you can't, want it today, can't want it tomorrow. You just got to understand that if I keep working and I'm working and I'm working and I'm working, it's going to pay off.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, and I don't even think that like you can say it's an effort thing or like physical. I don't even, like it's not like a physical thing. I think it's very mental, right? Because like you can be
absolutely
like say like you start a new job like me recently, right? You start a new job and you're literally at the bottom of the totem pole, right?
Yeah.
You're doing the grunt work, you're doing all the dumb stuff nobody wants to do, right? But the thing is, like, if people see you working hard at the little things and like the things that
set you apart from being the average person at the job, it sets you
apart, exactly. So in the end, it pays off. Like even though like it sucks now, what happens when the guy above you? What happens when he screws up once, right? What happens when the guy above him screws up once?
Yeah.
Right now you're looking at, okay, you're jumping up, you're bettering yourself without even knowing it beforehand, right?
Right.
Because like you're working hard, but like the thing is like you might not know you're working hard. Your coworker might not know you're working hard, but somebody out there
has
knows.
Noticed it.
Somebody knows that you're working hard. Somebody knows that you're making a difference in whatever you're doing.
Yeah, and again, I think that hard work energy attracts good. It brings about value. It brings about a certain level of coming back to you. Like you're putting in so much work, you're going to get something very productive out of it. Whether again, if it's school, it can be straight A's, or the degree you want, or the program you want to get into. Whether it's your job, it could be the bonuses you want to make, or another promotion, or a transfer to an area you wanted to be in the first place. You don't know, but if you go into that with hard work, I'm a firm believer that good things come out of it.
Yeah,
I've seen it. I've put in hard work. Like for instance, the job I have now, I truly don't think I ever would have got it if it wasn't for one summer I did flooring and construction.
Yeah,
which is, got news for you, hard work. Respect to all those people, because you're out there every day, 6 a.m. to 3, maybe 4, depending on what you're doing, and you're out there in the sun all day and you're roofing, flooring, whatever you're doing. I mean, all those jobs are hard. And I did that, went back to school and did my degree, and I was doing that in the summer. And then the company I worked for said, hey, we like your background because we do power tools. We'd like you to come in for an interview. Boom. Like, it's like, okay, who knew? I would never know. I would have never in my life guessed that. I just took the job for the summer. I just needed money for the summer. But I worked hard. I did. I remember I was only doing about 24 to 30 hours a week. Plus I had another job at night. But I would do Saturdays sometimes and get extra money. They'd be like, hey, we need 4 guys, come on Saturday. I'd be like, all right, I got nothing to do Saturday morning. I'll go. Yeah. Like, let's go. I'll make an extra $100. Like, why not? And it's just crazy. Like I say, you just don't realize that your hard work and small little steps now can affect you so much longer in the long run. Sorry. You just don't realize it. But I think it's there. I've just seen it in me. I've seen it in you. I've seen it in so many other people that they just work hard, and it's like, boom, something happens. Like, oh shit, I got a job doing this. Who knew? Who knew? He didn't even know. He just worked hard. Like, yeah. Or like working out. There's guys that they just work out hard, and the next thing you know, they're ripped. Yeah. They're like, yeah, I worked hard at it.
Yeah, and like, I think that's the other thing. Like for me, for an example, it's like every job I've had to leave for school, right? So I'm gone for months. Yeah. Yet it doesn't matter how long I'm gone. I get asked to come back every time.
That's a testament to you, absolutely.
And that's like, and I think that's the difference, because like my new company that I work with now, they're doing this thing where like they're allowing me to come back the second I get back to Florida. right? And
Right. Which is awesome.
they're basically breaking the rules for me. And I technically don't have to get rehired, and my probation period is still intact as
Yeah.
it was. So they're freezing me, and they're basically writing me a new leave of absence.
Yeah.
In a sense, right? And like at first, like when I got there, I was like, all right, this is like the most BS work I've ever done. You know, like this is dumb. Like I really
shit.
like. I mean, my manager literally came up and asked me like after my first week. He said, on a scale of 1 through 10, 1 being the absolute worst job you've ever done to 10 being the best job you've ever had, you know, and just taking everything in consideration. He told me to be honest with him that he wasn't going to judge me. I told him it was a 3. And you know, like, but like even then, even though he knew that I thought it was so low on the totem pole for me, is that I still worked hard. You know, it didn't matter. These last few weeks, last couple months, whatever, I still busted my ass to be the best in my department. And that's just like one of the things that you have to do is like you work as a team, right? And you don't want to outshine anybody else in a sense, but you also want to show that effort that you're helping out your team.
Yeah.
Right? So like, and that can be for anything, like whether it's construction or you're in some assembly line or you're in sales, you know, you want to be not outshining your team, but you want to be working with your team to a point where somebody notices that the work that you put in is helping the team out a lot.
Yeah, right? It's like you're like you're saying, you're toting the line of you want to do the best to your ability to make yourself look good, but you don't want to make, you know, obviously you don't do it in a way that makes everybody look bad.
Yeah.
You're working hard because you want to work hard. If, you know, again, if it makes people look bad, that's really not your fault, but your intentions aren't to like, I'm going to show these motherfuckers. I'm going to show this and this person. Like, you can't go into it with bad intentions either. I agree with that. But yeah, you go into that with that mindset of I'm going to work hard. I'm going to try my best to help everybody out. Again, if there's collateral damage on the way, that's not your intention, so you shouldn't feel bad about it. But yeah, and then they will notice that. And again, that's just another thing of like, good things are going to come your way. Like they just, because again, if you, with anything, your intentions speak louder than the results. Yeah. And that's in my opinion. If you know your intentions deep down were good, whether someone twists your words, whether the job hates you because you did something, or some employee hates you is what I mean, because you're doing something a different way. If you know your intentions were there, that's really all that matters. And of course, you don't try to leave shit bad. You try to make amends. You try to say your piece. But then that's on the other person to whether or not they accept it. And that's not on you. If your intentions are good and you're pure at heart with it, you're just sitting gold on my standard.
Yeah, and I think another thing that it does is like it comes down to accountability, right? It's like, what are you doing when nobody else is looking, right?
Yeah, are you sitting around or
are
you working?
You doing the best you can? Like, okay, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I check my phone. You know,
I mean, everyone checks their phone.
I check my phone at work all the time.
But are you sitting on
I'm not like sitting there
going through
on
TikTok?
My phone, you know, like I'm not texting people all day long. Yeah. Like if I got an important text, I'll text them back, whatever the case is. Like I know whatever. Whenever I have my break, I'll use my phone, right? But the thing is, like, there's not somebody constantly watching you when you're at work, or like even like when you're at school. Like nobody's sitting there making sure you're studying properly, right?
No one.
But the thing is, are you doing it? Because now, if you're not doing it and you're doing something else, at some point somebody's gonna notice, because down the line it's gonna show up somewhere. Right?
I could not agree more with what you're saying than the rest of the fucking podcast. Accountability is probably the number one thing that I think separates successful people from non-successful people in any sense of and I'm not get political or anything about it, but just in a mindset of being like, I'm gonna own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
These results are only because I am allowing these results. And like exactly what you're saying. School is a big one. I mean, there's a ton. How many college kids do you know that go away and for the first time, they don't have anybody on their ass telling them you got to do good, you've got to do this if you want X and X. I mean, it happens. I get it. I mean, my first semester wasn't my best, but you have to become accountable. You can't just blame it on a teacher or that homework was hard. I can't take tests because of this and that. there's certain levels I get of people having issues, but then at the same time, you've got to start being accountable. Okay, so you hate, you failed the class. How much hours were you putting into it? If it's a hard class, oh, the class was so hard. Okay, well, how long were you studying for? The exams. 3 days. Did you change it at all? No. Oh, well, maybe you should have changed it. Maybe do a week in advance. Like, I don't know. I mean, my perfect story for me is I was in an accounting class and I didn't take it serious. I failed the first exam. At that point, I should have known to change it. I didn't do good on the second exam, and then I did try to change it, but it was too late. So I couldn't even get the grades up to what I needed to. Mm-hmm. So I actually had to withdraw from the class. That sucked. Lucky for me, I was already ahead, so I didn't mess up my projection. Yeah. But I then had to retake that class before I could move on to business school at all. And I remember going to that class the next time around, and I was like, I am not failing the first test. I am just going to go crazy on it from the get-go. And I remember locking myself in my room a week before. I think it was like a week and a half before, and I just locked myself. I just didn't talk to anybody, just was studying every day because I didn't understand it the first time. I took it easy, thought I got it, and again, it wasn't the fact that the class was hard because kids were passing. I was not putting the work in for it. And I realized after I failed it, I struggle in this class. So I need to step up my input into the class if I'm going to pass. I ended up getting like an 87 and passing the class. Yeah. But again, every exam, I fucking locked myself in my room for a week and a half. Didn't talk to my girlfriend. Didn't talk to the guys. Didn't go out. Didn't do none of that. I just ate food, went to the gym, studied. And then sure enough, I get to those exams, and instead of panicking, I was like, boom, okay, A, B. Oh, I know how to do that formula. B, blah, 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 and then coming out with an 87 to end the class, I was happy about that.
And so, like, you don't have younger siblings, but I do. Right. And I have a lot of younger cousins, and I see this in younger kids, not that much younger than us, but there's definitely a difference that I've noticed. And I think, like, a big thing is, like, a lot of people now, like in the adolescent age, high school, they think that they have like some sort of limiting factor to what they can achieve. And like, I don't mean to get like political or anything, but a lot of people think that like, okay, this is making me not be able to do this. Yes. And like, I think that's a very false mindset because I think anybody realistically can do anything they want, as long as they're working hard, they put their mind to it,
Same exact
and like
stuff,
the same thing, like we're talking about accountability, same stuff,
Yeah, it all comes together.
Yeah, and hard I think work, that's like super drive, important.
Accountability. Continue though. Sorry, I meant to cut you off.
No, you're good.
But it all comes together.
Yes, it does.
And you were saying it. There are lots of people, I think, in our generation and in the younger ones that, like you're saying, some reason they don't take that accountability. There's always something, and this has got me nervous. I can't do this because of this, or I can't. They use that word a lot. I can't. And you always ask them like, why can't you? And some reason it's like, okay, what can you do to combat it? Like, it's fine to complain about it. I get it. It's frustrating. There's been times where I complain about stuff. I'm not going to deny it. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I realize that maybe there's something I can do differently. Like I said, I complained about that class. Sure, I did. Fuck yeah, I did. Yeah. The teacher didn't help. those study guides were shit. Okay? Yeah, I fucking complained. And then it was like, all right, I really didn't put as much thought into it as I
That's
should've.
The thing, though. You're saying, okay, you complained, right? And you probably complained a second time and a third time.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, like, as much as it brought you down, you didn't quit. Right? You didn't give up on it. You kept doing it. You knew what you had to do. You reevaluated what you had to do. Yeah. And then you did it. And then look where you're at now. So, like, I think that's the biggest thing is, like, and I think a lot of younger kids can definitely learn about this, is the fact that, like, yes, something you do might suck. Like, your parents might put you in Little League Baseball, Little League Soccer, whatever the case is, right? Like, that's probably going to suck. You're probably not going to like it, right? But quitting teaches a different lesson than just playing it through.
Agreed.
Right? So anything you do, and like for me, it's easier to relate with sports because I did quit soccer at one point in my life. I did quit soccer at one point in my life, but I picked up football and I had a better passion for it, and then I played college football. So like that's the thing is like when you quit, you want to get something out of it if you quit, right? But it's not necessarily the fact that you don't want to get a negative mindset out of quitting. You don't want to quit because it sucked. You want to quit because you have either passion for something else, or you want to quit because it's going to teach you a lesson in something.
Maybe you've come to the realization that I'm really not good at it.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's a big factor too. Is there's the flip side of what we just said. There's people that might do something and pour their heart and soul into it, per se, and they're not getting the outcome they need to get.
Yeah.
Then it's like you got to come. For examples, I played sports too. I was playing baseball and I swam. I got to a point in baseball where I was decent at it, okay? But I got to a point where I just started to not like it. I didn't have the drive to go to practice. I didn't have the drive to do 9 innings anymore.
Yeah.
So I came to the realization of I just don't like it anymore. And I'm not as, first off, and because of that, I'm not as good as these other kids that are out there killing themselves because they love it. There's kids throwing 90 miles an hour. I can barely hit a 70-mile-an-hour fastball. So then I come to the realization of, one, I'm not enjoying it. But two, I really don't have that skill that's going to take me super far in it anyways. So I'm going to go do something else I like, or whatever it is. But yeah, there's another flip side of what we're saying of accountability, that you can't blindly just go at stuff and not realize, you've gotta assess what you're doing. Yeah, I guess it's the best way I'm trying to word it.
And the other thing is, like, a lot of people aren't gonna learn something until they try it. Just like how we were talking about fishing, right? Mm-hmm. Is that like you never know like what you're gonna be good at until you do it, right? And then reevaluate what you're doing, and then try to get better at it.
I think college is a perfect example. We have friends that we know that we're gonna be I'm gonna be an engineer. They're like, all right, do it.
Absolutely.
And do it. All the power to you. And they get to Calc 3 and they're like, holy fuck, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
I've taken it twice. Maybe I can't do this. Instead of like, or let's put it that way. Let's even broadify it simpler, because I'm sure there's tons of people out there that can relate. You want to go to a specific major, you're struggling in the 2-year classes. The front end class. What is it called? Holy crap! I just drew a blank. What's the 2-year degree?
Associates.
So you're struggling to get good grades.
You got a college degree?
Thank you. I do, but I totally forgot what it was called. I've been out for a while, man. But you totally forget. I'm sorry. So you're trying to go for a certain degree, and you're struggling in the lower level classes to get just your associates, or you're struggling to get into these. You're struggling to get good grades in the weed out classes.
Oh, absolutely.
And they are weed out classes. If someone tells you someone's a weed out class, you better listen and pay attention.
Yeah.
Because there's kids that want to be a chemical engineer and they're getting A's and B's in these weed out classes, and you're sitting at a low C. Not saying you can't get it, but if your degree asks for a certain level, you might have to come to a realization that I don't know if I can get that.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't, again, you got to assess. It might take time, but I'm not saying don't follow your dreams, but at the same time, maybe the dream is something else. You just haven't realized it yet. You thought because your parents wanted you to go do this and that. That's what it was,
Yeah, I mean, like, absolutely. Like, take me, for example. I'm pre-med, right?
Yes.
So, originally, when I went to school, I wasn't going to do anything medical. I hate science. I absolutely hate it. Not going to lie. I like numbers. I like math. I like stats,
Yeah.
I like casinos. So, keep in mind, like, that's what I like. So, I started off business, and after that year, I was like, fuck this, man. I don't like this. This is too linear for me. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Right? It's for me, it's too straightforward.
And everyone's different.
So obviously everybody's different. But for me, that's how it was. And I go ahead and I switch into sports medicine, which is a pre-med track.
Yeah.
So then going through it, it was probably about a year ago that, like, I realized, I'm like, I'm barely getting through this now. Like, how am I going to get through med school? How am I going to get into med school?
Yeah,
right?
Number one, how am I getting in?
Here's the thing.
Two, how am I going to do?
I'm barely graduating now. So, like, how am I going to get into med school? So then that's when like I really sat down and like I talked to my peers, I talked to my mom, and obviously like my mom, you know how my mom is. She's like,
Yeah.
she's not gonna tell me what to do.
She's gonna give
And
you both sides.
yeah, she's gonna be like, okay, like I mean, you have this and you have this or whatever, and then she's gonna make me choose on my own because she wants me to
Choose your path. It's
yeah
not
choose my
her path. It's your path.
exactly. So she wants me to
Yeah.
like learn my own mistakes, basically.
Of course,
in
which
a-
is the
in a
most
sense.
valuable lesson.
Which is a very very good
Oh,
lesson, which I'm
absolutely.
so thankful for. And so that's why like I've resorted to doing medical sales, right? Because now I don't have to go to school anymore because I really don't want to. But then I also have that medical background that I've been doing for the last 3.5 years that I can take into it. And the thing is, like, the company I'm trying to do the rest of my life with, my career, in a sense, right, is they do sports medicine products. They do like knee braces, you know.
Yeah,
So
right up your alley.
so that's something I've grown up with. Like I know knee braces, I know ankle braces, whatever the case is, you know. Like, but like sports and just like sports medicine in general is something I'm passionate about. So it's just like I think at some point it falls down and it becomes very clear to a lot of people. But like I think definitely for some people it takes longer time to figure that out.
And sometimes some people just don't take that step back to look at things.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a big
the other
thing. That is, again, I sell it what you want, but that's also falls into that accountability category, is you knowing yourself, or just being able to sit with yourself and think about that, and then being accountable to that. You know, you realize that this isn't working. Then what are you going to do? Complain about it, or are you going to hold yourself accountable and go change it? And you're a perfect example of that. I mean, I know other people who they were wanting to get a degree in mathematics.
But
They wanted to be a mathematician, is what I was trying to say. And they did it, and they did okay in the first couple math classes, and then they started to waver, and oh, this is hard. Okay, I've got these core classes. What else is with these core classes can I do that I might like? Oh, I really liked this class. I really liked psychology 1 and 2 that I took as electives. All right, I might, and I've got the prereqs where if I go to try to get a full psychology degree, I can also waver into this and this one. And now they've got a whole new plan. Now I'm no longer doing math. Now I'm no longer a mathematician. I'm gonna try to go for my psychology degree. Oh shit! I love these first 2 classes. I love these next 5 classes. Fuck yeah, I'm gonna be a psychologist.
And that's the thing. Next thing you know, when you love those classes, you have more drive to learn, right? And I think
that is the key.
And I think
right there about college.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like that's good with college, is that you think like when you're a freshman, you're like, oh man, I gotta take this distribs class, you know, like you gotta take all these different classes that you think you have no interest in, right? You're thinking like, shit, why the hell do I want to take nutrition? But like I have to, you know, whatever. You have to take all these dumb classes that they're asking you to take, and you really don't want to take them. But then like that's the thing, like you get to your second year, and you're like really struggling starting your major, you know, like I think that's where people really start to like figure out like, damn, like I'm barely passing this entry level class. Like, what did I like? So that, like, for me, that's why I use nutrition, because I loved nutrition. I absolutely loved it, and my professor was absolutely awesome. You know, so like that's how I got into the pre med track. But like, I think that's a big thing. It's like sometimes it's like when you're too driven, or like when you're too straightforward or tunnel vision, you know, you're like thinking like, okay, I have to do this. I have to do this. This is what I told people I want to do, and I have to do this. But like sometimes you just gotta take a step back and just look at the bigger picture, and like look outside the box for a second, because like you never know.
Analyze, take a step back, analyze that situation,
and just I think it definitely changes your life. And I don't think like you've grown into a mature mindset until you've been able to do that and learn that skill. And like I'm not gonna say like I think like I possess that skill, but like have I mastered it?
No,
definitely not.
No,
and I don't think in your entire life, if you live to 200 years old, whatever the deal is, right? In your entire life, I don't think you can ever learn a skill like that to its full potential, because the thing is like you're always growing in one way or another, and there's gonna be different tracks of your life that you take. and you're not gonna understand it until you take one or the other path, right? You don't know if until you go left or right.
Yeah, but being able to step back
Yeah.
and analyze the situation and be accountable for it and then change it if it's not working is what so many people I think just don't do and don't realize. They get stuck, and the next thing you know, they're in year 3 or 4. They're not close to getting the degree they want, and they also are too far to go back, and now they're like, I've got debt, I've got this, I don't know what I'm doing. And that's when things can go south super quick. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to have that plan. And I want to circle back around that you had said, and I think that is one of the most valuable things that I even was very underrated with about college is those first 2 years, you probably have the most fun. And if you can get past having the most fun, though, and really look at them, you can have a better idea of where you want to go, what you want to do, as well. I mean, that's what we were really saying. It's just what you want to do, because you have the opportunity those first 2 years, and it's going to be BS because you're like, this is just like high school. I'm just taking random classes. I'm not even in my major. I remember being so mad at that. Why the hell am I in philosophy?
Yeah.
Okay. What the hell does that have to do with my marketing major? I was pissed. But now looking back, exactly what you said. It broadened my field, and I did good in this and bad in that and average in that. And I could, okay, I'm better at this. So luckily for me, I picked a great degree because I was good at that stuff. I loved it. And that's what my huge advice is, take those 2 years and analyze it and figure out what you did good and what you didn't do good, and what you think will make you happy. I got lucky and I knew I wanted to do business. I didn't know what in business. I picked marketing because I thought it was super generic. And I was like, I can do anything with marketing. Why not? I picked marketing, and when I got into my marketing classes, I loved them. My grades were through the roof because I enjoyed what I was learning. And that's something that speaks volume and should speak volume to anybody going through stuff in colleges. If you're trying to get into your major and you're about to graduate or whatever, and you're not enjoying those classes that are going to be your degree and pretty much the building blocks of your career, there might be an issue, you know?
Yeah, and I think it goes both with college kids and maybe like graduating high schoolers, or like maybe high schoolers in their junior year, because like now I think there's, from when we were graduating, right? That's when they just started doing like STEM programs.
Yeah.
Right.
That was huge.
Like,
everyone's parents was like, be in STEM.
Yeah, exactly. So now it's like a huge thing where like it's important to be in STEM. It's like there's a mindset behind that, but like in reality, I don't think there is, because like, yeah, like being in these STEM programs is good. You're gonna get into a good school, but like if your parents are asking you to do that and you really don't want to do that, like say you like fixing cars, right?
Yeah.
Like fix cars. Go to trade school.
Do it.
Do something you love, because it ends up being better for you. You're gonna learn more. You're gonna be more successful because you have that drive. You have that passion. And it's a lot different when you don't like something, because like I hated business. That's why I didn't care for those classes at all.
Right.
And
you realized it.
I didn't go to them, nothing. But I love learning about ankle injuries for whatever reason. I love learning about ACLs, you know? And it's like, I would have never thought that 6 years ago. But look where I'm at now, you know. That's what I learn about every day of my life.
Right. And I don't want to put like too much pressure on people in high school and stuff. It's very hard at that age to really have an idea of what you want to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, I think I'm pretty different in that aspect. I was like, I want to do business. I know I want to do something business. And I picked marketing because I didn't know that is one thing I will say. If you have an idea of what you want to do and you can hone in on that idea, mine was business. I've had other friends that wanted to do some type of engineering. I've had other friends that want to do some type of cybersecurity work. You can hone in on it. If you can hone in on that, you can at least set yourself on the right path, because for the business school, I had to just take the same basic classes. And most of the other schools like to tell you, take the basic core, Chem 1s, engineering 1, mathematics, algebra, pre-algebra. You take those basic classes, and then from there, you go a little bit in more specifics. And so, I don't like chemical engineering. I don't like that. Too much chemistry. I don't like chemistry. Okay, well, let's go mechanical. That's different. Or at least I think it is. I could be wrong. but my point is like, for me, it was so easy that I honed in on business. And of course, they're saying you have to pick something. Okay, fine, I'll pick a generic one. But then when I got into those classes, and you're in those last 2 years, it's very easy for you to switch within that school.
Yeah.
As long as that's what you want to do, because those classes are very similar.
At least the base classes, the
Yeah,
starting
and I would, again,
courses.
that's like year 2, year 3, maybe year 3. I would
Yeah,
say.
probably the
I'd
first
say year
half
3
of
is that
year 3,
cutoff.
depending on when you start your major.
I truthfully believe that year 3 is that cutoff. If things aren't going well for you by year 3,
Drop out.
I,
No, I'm just kidding.
I
Don't
mean,
do that.
I'll be honest with you with that. Is my whole opinion on dropping out. I don't think that matters either in today's day and age. I don't, and I'll fight that tooth and nail. A lot of people are gonna probably hate that, but I think the internet has broadened our opportunity than more people have ever thought about. Our parents did not have the internet. They did not have the opportunity that we have. If you can figure out the internet and figure out how to make money on the internet, you do not need to go to college.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that till year 3 when I was done. So at that point, I might as well. I have fucking 2 months left. Why would I drop out now? I'm gonna get my degree. But if you can realize it and work hard at it, do it.
And I think that's the other thing is like you gotta be thinking like year 3 is like a weird year, I would say, because like that's when like you're really starting getting into your major, and like that's probably
Agreed.
the time where you want to start dropping out because you get kind of lazy. Year 3, year 4, but the thing is like sometimes you gotta think like, okay, I've spent this much money the last 3 years, the last 5 semesters on school, right? So now you gotta think like, is it feasible for me to drop out, or do I just work harder and finish it out, right? Because like you don't want to be going to school for 3 years and not make anything, not necessarily not make anything out of it, but you don't want to have to pay for that degree when you don't have that degree.
Right, or go and have to go extra.
Exactly.
You have a 4-year degree and now it's going to take 5.5. There's another.
Well, I mean, the average that people graduate in is 4.5 years for college.
Okay.
So like you're thinking like most people
really?
are at 4 years, and then most people are, and then the other half of the people are at 5. So that means 4.5 is right in the middle, right? So
right.
In reality, 4.5 is not bad. You're paying an extra semester, and odds are you're probably not taking that many classes.
No, you're probably not.
We're looking up right now.
What is this? What? It doesn't. I don't. That doesn't. That didn't answer our question.
Well, okay,
I took the wrong thing again.
Well, you can go off of that, but that's all to kind of.
Wait, we want to know
the
how many years.
Yeah.
Average years to graduate. Sorry. Yeah.
The bachelor's. So it takes nearly 6 years, is what they're saying.
Holy shit!
In 2020.
What? I think that's a little high.
I think it's a little high as well, but I think I know what they're taking in consideration, and I think they're considering the fact that when you're in your second and third year, all you're trying to do is change majors for whatever reason. For most people, at least. But I go to a liberal arts school, and I'm honestly blessed with that because I personally did not know what I want to do. Right? I mean, like, I had an idea of what I wanted to get into, right? But that's just
the number one. I'm sorry to cut you off, but the number one reason it says breaking the 4-year myth: why students are taking longer to graduate. Number 4 is lack of a clear plan.
We were just talking about that for half an hour.
This is literally what we were just talking about. So, okay, apparently we're different than the other fucking 41% of people, but yeah. That's hysterical. I'm sorry. That's what the change of majors is number 2.
That should be the number 1.
That should be number 1.
That should be number 1.
That
change of universities makes sense.
That goes back to number 1 though. I've had people do that. It's like, why are you taking that class? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know?
Some people do just for the credits, man. Some people do as grade boosters.
There's a difference. Yes, and that all falls back into lack of a clear plan, really.
Well,
I mean, it's.
Well, the thing with that one is like, going back to what I was saying is like, I go to a liberal arts college where you're required to take like, however many classes in every single department they got. right?
Good. See, that's very
So
good because, like, again, what we're saying is it allows you to kind of diversify
yeah,
your idea and your
and
brain to
it
get
allows you to see like
something else
yeah
that you
from a
might love.
different perspective.
Right. Right.
So like my history, one of my history professors, my world history professors, he called me into his office one day, and I was asking him something, but he was talking to me. He was like, "You seem really passionate about this stuff." Well, little does he know, like I do not like history. Like
I
I
hate
was
it.
not trying to go to that class any day, But he was telling me like how much it looked like I liked it. I mean, I hate to break it to him, but I don't.
Right. Right.
But that's the thing. It's like you never know what you might like until you actually do it. So like I didn't think I'd like science until I actually did science in a college setting. It's
Again,
different in high school.
I totally agree with that, but there's a certain, at least in my head, and I could be wrong, but there's a certain level of I should try everything, and not be able to, like, you got to hone in on something.
Yeah. Yes.
And you got to
yes.
and you got to dip your toes in early
Yes.
rather than later. So in year 1, you take a variety of classes, and maybe the first half of year 2, because year 2 spring semester, you've really got to start. You got to start getting into the school.
You have to be decided.
You pretty much
you
do.
don't have to be decided, but you have to
you have to get ready to in those
courses.
core classes. Right.
Yes.
Right. You have to be able to get into those core classes of whatever degree that is. So you have, if you're lucky, you get in summer. I believe it or not, that's probably the best case scenario. I did not want to go to summer, so let's just freshman fall, freshman spring, freshman summer.
Okay.
Sophomore fall. You've got those 4 semesters to broaden what you can to figure out what it is you really want to do. If you're in a circumstance you don't think you know, again, and you might want to, again, if you think you know what you're want to do, that's awesome. Take what you need core wise to get that out of the way, and try a few other extra classes just to see.
Absolutely.
But have those building blocks so that way you don't get, 1, caught behind, or 2, you can realize this isn't for me. Something, I'm not doing good in the core classes.
Yeah.
I gotta figure something out. Or just realize, you're hold yourself accountable. Maybe it isn't the classes. Maybe it's me not trying hard. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a cool topic to talk about because I don't think it's talked about enough between.
I think it's talked about it like at all. It's barely talked about at all.
Yeah, and I think the hard thing is like nobody necessarily wants to. I don't want to say that nobody wants to guide you, but in a sense, it's like the way people guide you is like almost not appealing to you necessarily.
It's very. That's the other thing I've always told people this, if they do come for me for advice, because they're like, hey, you got out really quick. You were able to get your classes in order and blah blah blah. And again, part of that is I did account for, like, I planned. I would go visit the advisor 2-3 times, making sure these are the classes I need to take so I can be in this and this next semester. Like I remember sitting down my sophomore year and planning out the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I need to know what I have to do, so that way I don't, 1, I see my plan, and then 2, I know, okay, I need to get a grade in this class to get into this class. I mean, that's just like, to me, that's just like something you need to know if it's for your major. How do you not know your requirements? Like freshman year, I knew I needed like a 3. I think it was actually a 2.9. It was a 2.9. Yes, 2.9 to get into business school by year 2. That's all and then then they had a list of these classes you need a 75 or above in.
Yeah.
I knew that, and I could tell at the time. I could tell you the GPA. I know the GPA still. I could tell you what classes at the time, out the back of my hand, because I knew I needed those to get into what I wanted to do next. That's a big thing too. You need to know. You gotta know. And I would tell people that's another huge thing for college students is use your advisors. And when you use your advisors, you need to ask the hard questions, because they're not going to walk you through it unless you ask. Yeah. They will not. They would even they wouldn't there are some out there that will not tell you not to take not take that. That class is worthless to you for what you want to do. There are some out there that just they just have an advising job. They don't care about the kids. They just have an advising job. Okay, you want to take those 5 classes? Sure. So that's a huge thing. You got to ask those hard questions. If I don't get into business school by then, what is my option? Again, I had that setback with my accounting class where I had withdrawn, so basically failed it, and had to retake it. And I went in and going, oh my God, because I knew I had to pass that class to go on to business school. And I was like, fuck, I just messed up my entire like plan to get out in X amount of years. So I went to advise and I said, what are my options here? What are my options? And it wasn't until like the second time I went, the lady goes, a different lady. And I started going to that lady all the time because she would answer the hard questions I had. I was like, I need to take this class next semester. I'm already supposed to going into my core classes next semester though. I know I can't take them at the business school. Is there any other options? And she looked at it and goes, you have to get into that accounting class and you need to take it next semester. The loophole that you didn't know, that I had no idea about until I talked to her, was I could take my core classes, some of them online. There were some business classes in the business school that were held online. So the loophole there was I'm taking them online. I'm not in the business school at all.
Yeah.
I would have never known that unless I had said, what are my options? Because if I do, I'm not going to stay up in FSU and take one class.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm definitely not going to pay for 4 to sit around, 4 bullshit classes just to have an extra 4 credits. So I went in and asked, and she gave me that option. Yeah, you can take those on. You can take some of these online. You got to figure out what 3 you want to take online. Try to get into them as soon as possible because that's the only way you'll be able to move on. So I took my accounting class the next semester, and I took 3 core business classes that would be technically considered 3rd and 4th year classes online, and was able to do it.
See,
and move on.
That's funny how you said like you have to talk to your advisors and ask them about you have to ask them the hard questions, because I think for me personally, I feel like sometimes advisors are kind of straightforward because the school trains them to have you go in a certain direction, certain route, and have to take certain courses, right?
Absolutely.
Now, understanding your own requirements and understanding what to ask your advisors also it's super important, because the thing is like there's courses where like maybe you don't have to take, or like maybe you can take 2 courses at the same time, even though one's a prereq to the other, because that happens sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. And you might not know.
So you can take concurrently courses, and that's like something that you want to double check with your advisor because it's important. And I think another thing that's really important with your advisor is like sometimes you have to think of your own way around things, right? Because sometimes they think about it one way, and like there's almost always something, like there's a way around almost everything, so sometimes you have to be like, okay, like what if I do this, will this work?
Absolutely. I actually agree with that. Yes.
Will this be allowed? Will this work? Because that might be a better plan for you coming, like, so say like if you have, like, say for me, like I had football in the fall, right? I knew I was more focused in the fall because of football. Even though I had less time, I knew that because I had less time, I had to be more focused in my classes. So my first advisor that I had, she thought that I'd be more focused in the spring semester. Right.
And ended up messing.
And it ended up being worse for me. So like I knew that I had to stack my harder courses that still required a lot of time.
But the pressure was, I'm the same way. When I had stuff I had to do outside of school, my school grades went up because I had this limited amount of time, and I was like, I have to study tonight. It was like a do or die moment.
Yep. So I took all my other courses outside of the season, which is definitely like, that's not what they think about, because sometimes they're like, okay, you should take this course first to kind of get your toes wet for this course.
Yeah.
But like, it maybe not always that way. Maybe like if you know you're prepared for this course, then take that course when you know you're going to be focused and locked in. Like, give yourself that drive.
And another aspect on that I would like to point out is, again, that's learning yourself in a sense. But I remember going in and asking her, what are the hard classes in my major? Which ones are like known as the hard ones? Oh, it's this one and this one and this one. So okay. Then I asked, what order do I need to take them in? Is there an order? I would recommend that one first, but then the other 2 we can do whatever. Okay. And then I was like, I want to space them out every semester.
Yeah.
I only, and not that, again, some classes are hard, some are known for being hard, other classes are just classes. I spaced out for my major by just going in and talking to her that I never had to take 2 of the harder classes in my major at the same time.
Yeah.
I just spaced them out. One every semester. So my last semester of college, I had to pass, I don't even know, finance? I don't even know. That was all I had to pass. It was the only class that really mattered because it was the hardest one. So it was the only one I really had to focus on. I think it was finance. I don't remember. But it was, my point is I just, and that was like easy to just coast right through stuff because I spaced the hard stuff out. And I know kids that are stacking up chemistry and physics 1 on the same semester. I'm like, you're out of your damn mind. more power to you. I hope you pass them, and I wish you the best. But you've taken your planning and made it. Now you've made some semesters so hard that you're not even. You might hate school. You might not have a life. I knew someone that was taking like Chem 1, pre-calc, and then like a physics class or some other, or it was bio. It was a really hard bio one, like organic chemistry, and then bio 2, I think, and then microbiology was sorry, it was all over the place. Microbiology, chemistry, and like calc at the same time. It was like, bless your soul, that's going to be a hard semester.
Yeah.
And more power to you if you can do it.
Sure.
Because then if you can do it, you've proven to yourself you can do a lot more than you think.
Yeah.
And
of course. And
but
then
hard.
I think subsequently every semester after that it's probably going to be easier for you, especially when you have a lighter load than that semester, right? Because now you're like thinking like, all right, I did all this, like I can do this. And I think it maybe comes down to your mentality. Is like, I did all this, so maybe you might slack off depending on who you are. But at the same time, like if you know you can do that, like, I mean, sky's the limit.
Yeah,
bro.
and I will say this: it's a business school. I think I could have managed those 2 or 3 classes if I had to take 2 of them the same semester. Because business school, truth be told, I don't think the business school is that hard. I just don't think it is. But there's our degrees that are a lot harder, and a lot of them are medical or scientific, where you're going to have to take, chem 2, bio, organic chemistry, microbiology, other animal classes or something like that are hard, and a lot harder than any business class I've probably ever taken, in a sense, because I'm not big into science. But you have to go so into detail on some of those because you have to know everything for whatever that degree is. There might be, and that's something that person needs to come to terms with, or has to, is that you've chosen a degree that is significantly harder than a degree I chose.
Yeah.
And there might be no other way around taking 2 hard classes at once.
Mm-hmm.
There might be a way around taking 4 at the same time. But again, you plan it out. You've accepted that you're going to have to take your hard classes. You might have to take 2 at the same time. Now it's up to you. Do you put that work in or not?
Absolutely.
It's tough. I mean, because their degrees are so different. And I'll be straight. I think my degree is one of the easier ones. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But I loved it, so it was easy. That also is one thing I'll say is I loved what I was doing. I didn't feel like school was a burden at all. Now I have a marketing homework. Okay, I got marketing homework. Maybe I didn't like reading it, but other marketing homework I didn't care. That's a big thing too. It doesn't feel like a burden if you're liking it. But it's difficult.
Yeah, for sure.
But we've got some good advice for college kids. That's just stuff isn't talked about.
Yeah, for younger college kids. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
and I don't think that's the thing, bro. I don't remember like when I was a freshman or a sophomore. I don't remember like a recently graduated student talk to me like that. And like
never. I would give advice to anyone.
So nice to know, like I mean anybody who's about to go to college or
I did. I remember
late in high school, like if they want to talk, I'm so down for it because I think learning about other people's experiences not necessarily would change yours. But it will give you help on like exactly how you want to start your life.
Most college kids want to look back at college and talk about the fun shit they did and tell everybody how great of a time. Oh yeah, you're gonna love that school. I had a great time. Oh, that major, yeah, it was good. Did you go to that bar on Thursdays? Yeah, and you're like, that's great. I think, I agree. If we can start changing that narrative of people helping and giving advice, there might be a lot less people getting into debt, a lot less people changing degrees later, a lot less people not having plans.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like, I'm in a fraternity. So, like, when somebody asks me about school, I don't talk about partying or going out to the bars or whatever. Like, I talk about my experiences. Okay, like, I failed this class. I'll tell you why I failed this class, or, like, this is why I chose what I'm doing.
Yeah. What are you taking? I always ask that. What are you taking? Oh, I'm doing this. Okay, how's it going? Yeah. I do ask some of those. I remember some of the guys and girls in the grade below us coming to my college, and I'd talk to them about it. What are you taking? What are you planning on taking? Oh, I've heard that's very hard. Be prepared for that. And I don't know I have no idea if any sisters or brothers in the fraternity ever really talked to them about that. I'm sure they shared information. I think it was more of like that. That's kind of like a fraternity's work. Some of the sororities were. It was more of like, oh, you're taking that class. Here's my notebook from last year. Yeah, that's it. Not telling oh yeah, you need to take that class before you take that class. I've heard very few conversations like that. But anyways, we've provided for the last like hour. A shit ton of
We have.
information for
We have-
college students and all that.
Hopefully
So
people actually listen through all that.
people are gonna listen to everything,
There's
man.
a lot of rambling
This
right
is-
there.
Nah, that was
They
chock
gotta-
full of
They
information.
gotta make it. They gotta make it past the first hour of talking about Country Thunder and stuff.
I'll put a disclaimer in the front. No, but that was just, I like the way that ended. There was chock full of information that, like we just said, people don't necessarily hear and they need to hear.
Absolutely.
Anyways,
Absolutely.
glad to have you on. You want to come on again sometime?
Thank you. Oh, always.
You had a fun time?
Always. And we can talk about whatever.
We did have a fun. I had a fun time.
I had a great time.
All right, man. Peace.
Deuces.